Hi everyone, pretty excited to share with you the latest update to our guide on how to use ChatGPT to prepare for an interview. This was one of our most popular videos from last year, but I made some updates because some things have changed with the GPT algorithm since then. We've actually had a lot of improvements. And I also thought it would be better to go just a little bit deeper and just help anyone that's preparing for a job interview get access to the best resources possible. So there's going to be 6 parts to this process. I'm going to run through them one by one. You'll see the timestamps in the comment below. You'll also see a link to this spreadsheet so you can make a copy. A lot of people actually request to edit access to this. Actually, if you click on file, make a copy, you can create your own copy. That way, everyone has a blank sheet to start with. So hopefully this will be helpful. Before we jump straight in, I want to just touch on briefly what's changed since 2024. So I think there are 5 big changes to OpenAI's GPT algorithms. First one is that token limit has increased. What that essentially means is that you can actually send more data into your chat conversation, which means that the output that you get back is going to be more informed and more detailed. So huge improvement there. Second one is improved context retention, which means that the ChatGPT, I think especially if you have a subscription, actually has a memory of the interactions that you've had so far. So if you think through a whole season of preparing for job applications, it's actually going to start to remember the approach that you've taken, the questions that you're asking, and hopefully improve over time. So I think that's a huge boost. It's enhanced the role-specific and industry-specific question generator. So obviously, the last video was a little over 6 months ago. Since then, there's 6 months of new data that's coming to the models. So the latest information will be a little bit more up-to-date, reflecting the job market in 2025. It's got stronger follow-up and interview more questions, I think, as a result of that. And as the model gets smarter by interacting with more people, hopefully you'll be able to get a better kind of sense of what a mock interview is actually going to be like. And the AI-assisted research, I think, is a big one. Again, if you're a subscriber, you might have seen the deep research tab open up at the bottom of ChatGPT. I've been playing around with that. It's amazing. What it will actually do is go and search a whole bunch of different websites, compile a research report, and actually give you that information back in a condensed format. We're not going to go too much down that avenue on this video, which we're just going to keep it very high level. But what I would encourage is please experiment. Actually, let me know in the comments what you find, and then maybe in 6 months' time we'll update the video again, and there'll be a whole bunch of new changes. Or maybe we'll even build a tool that's actually going to do a lot of this for you. If you would like to see that, again, please drop it in the comments below. We are actually probably going to have an interest form on our website, meanderhq.com. So if you are interested, please let me know. We'll only build it if there's enough interest there. So let's jump straight in. The first step we're going to do is identifying key skills. So let's jump straight onto here. So what I want to do is actually go through the whole job prep process. So you're preparing to apply to a role, then you're actually preparing for an interview and everything else. You can actually use it as follow-on for salary negotiations and things like that. But we're just going to focus on actually prepping for an interview on this video. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the key skills that are going to be required for a job that interests you. So the 2 things that we need, a job description and a current resume, and this prompt, which we're going to put into ChatGPT. Now, I've already got my resume, and the job description I'm going to pull from a Microsoft site for a job that's no longer active. So just to try and help out. So we'll go to our ChatGPT. And I'm just going to paste this prompt straight in. So all I did is copy from that box, paste it in here, and you'll see at the bottom, there's a little box here to paste the job description. Now the job description, I'm going to pull out this AI technical program manager role that I found on the Microsoft career site. Again, no longer accepting applications. So this is really just for demo purposes. I'm going to be really lazy with everything here. I'm just going to select all, copy, just given the increased token limit, we can kind of get away with doing that and just paste it in here. And now when I click go, hopefully what this is going to do, I realized I forgot one thing. Please upload or paste your current resume. So that was one thing that I forgot. So I'm going to go back in and edit. So we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to upload from my computer, from my downloads, my resume. I'm going to try that one again. So it's going to read my resume, and it's going to read the job description I just pasted in, and it's going to give me an overview of the key skills, what Microsoft's looking for, how my resume, my background may fit in with that, keywords that you might want to include in a cover letter. Again, you can use ChatGPT to help draft these kind of cover letters and resumes. What I would encourage you to do is don't just copy and paste the output. Actually really think through the whole story, edit it, or even what I like to do is get the draft from ChatGPT and then use that as inspiration to actually write from scratch the cover letter that I would want to write, or produce the resume I would want to produce. So you can see here it's actually going into a lot of detail about different things to do, different ways to update my my resume, but really helpful first prompt, hopefully. And so what we can do here actually is just copy the output from this, and all I'm going to do is drop it into this this blank Google Doc for interview prep samples. I think it's maybe ironic that I'm using my Apple laptop and Google Docs to apply for a Microsoft role, but I don't want to take any sides in this. this process. So step one, we've identified the key skills required. I'm not going to read through it in depth because you can do that in your own time. Step two is actually generating sample interview questions. So assume that we've applied this with our resume. We've actually taken the advice that's given us back, and we've made the application, or hopefully we've actually gotten a referral to a role internally, because that's going to give you the best chance of actually speaking to a human and giving yourself the best opportunity to sell yourself for that role. So the next stage is generating sample interview questions. This is going to help you when you're preparing for that first conversation with a recruiter, or hopefully the following conversation with a hiring manager. So in this page, what we're going to do is we're going to continue the chat. I'm going to copy this next prompt. I'm going to need the company culture page. So the first thing I'm going to do is paste into here, and you'll see that the prompt is already in there. It includes the quotation marks because it's pasted from a spreadsheet. But I'm going to paste the company culture page from here. Again, I went to the Microsoft culture page, and I'm going to be super lazy, just copy and paste everything and enter it in here, press enter. Now, hopefully what we're going to do is get some sample interview questions. So technical competency, this is all based on the job description, the resume, the company culture. So it's actually going to give us a broad perspective of the types of questions that we should be expected to answer. So here we're seeing the different styles of questions. We've got kind of 12 on the role. We've got a bunch more actually on company culture and values, which is especially helpful when you're talking to the recruiter who may not want to go into technical depth, but wants to understand if you're a good fit for the overall company. And then behavioral questions, just to go through. So kind of really good kind of walkthrough of what a potential interview may be like. So again, I'm going to copy this and then going to drop it into the bottom here. And obviously what we're doing here is just creating a huge Google Doc with all of the outputs from this interview prep. And the idea is that we can then maybe print this off or go into it and edit it as we kind of go through the process. I'm actually going to, in step 6, going to touch on how I would manage that process further down the road. So we've got our interview prep. Next thing we're going to do is actually take a look at refining and personalizing answers. So this is, I think, a really interesting step, because what we're doing is we're taking those generic questions that maybe would be given to an interviewer as they're prepping to interview you as the candidate. But now we actually want to look at the background of the interviewer themselves. So again, I'm going to take a copy of this prompt. I'm just going to drop it into ChatGPT. Again, I'm not going to read through the prompt because that would take too long. What I am going to do is upload the LinkedIn profile. This is actually very easy to do if you've never done it before. You actually go to LinkedIn, go to the profile of the individual. Again, I took my profile here, resources, or there's maybe another tab for others, and just click Save to PDF. Now, what that's going to do is take their LinkedIn profile, save it to a PDF locally on your file. And then what I can do, I've already done that. So with ChatGPT, I can just click Add here, Upload Files, and I have my LinkedIn profile right here. So this is a little weird because I gave it my resume and my LinkedIn profile, so it's as if I'm interviewing myself. But just for the purposes of this exercise, it's actually going to read through the LinkedIn profile, and it's going to assume that I'm the interviewer now, and it's going to kind of touch on the types of questions that I may want to ask as I'm going through the process. So you can see it's generating a pretty good mix of questions. And it's actually giving us example responses, which again is really helpful for the prep. So it's giving us suggestions for next stages, but we're just going to just copy and paste to keep it really simple. And that's step 3. So now we've refined and personalized our answers based on the interviewer. So you can see how we're going from really kind of like a broad, these are the types of things that the role is going to need, into very specific niches. And you can kind of do this for every interview that you have when you do the background research for the interviewer. The next step, I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people, is the mock interview. So we're not going to go through this in too much depth, but I'm just going to show you what happens when I drop the prompt into ChatGPT. So here you can see that what I'm asking ChatGPT to do is give me a mock interview. So when I click go, hopefully what's going to happen now is it's going to start to act as the interviewer, Chris Mannion style. So it's pretending it's me, and it's asking me questions. And this is actually probably one of the first questions that I would ask in an interview. So I would type in my response here. But let's end the interview now. But this will be something that you would spend a lot of time going through. Again, kind of copying and pasting the output. It's actually going to give you the a lot of feedback. Obviously, we didn't give it enough data to give us some actionable feedback, but that's really helpful, and that will go in your prep document. Final step is going to be company research. This is very important as you're going into an interview to really help you stand out against other candidates, to show you've done the background research. It's not just helpful to impress a hiring manager and ask thoughtful questions. It's also going to give you a little bit more information as you're thinking through, hopefully, multiple job offers, which one is potentially going to have the best fit long term and actually fits in with what you're looking for. So what we're going to do here is going to take this prompt again, and you can see what we need is the investor relations or about us information. If it's a publicly traded company, I really like to go and look at the annual report from the last financial year. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. If it's a privately held company, you might not have all of that information. So I'll just go to the website, look at the About Us from the business perspective. We've already done the company culture side, but kind of really just looking at the overall business performance and trying to track that. So I'm going to drop this prompt into here now, and then going to upload the 10K. Now to get the 10K, what I did is go to Microsoft, search for Microsoft Investor Relations, and you'll see on the side here, download earnings related reports. Now every publicly traded company has an investor relations site. The 10K is the one that you want. 10K is the annual report. When you click on that, it'll give you the option usually to download into a PDF format, which is my preferred style for uploading to ChatGPT. So when I go into here, hopefully it's not going to break because it's such a big file. But I have my PDF for my annual report. And once it's finished uploading, we can submit. And now what it's going to do is read through that 10K. It's going to analyze the business performance. And it's actually going to give us some interesting insights into how the company is doing. That's going to give us maybe some inspiration for questions to ask, thinking through how the company's performance relates to the job that we're applying for and the direction that the company is going into. Obviously, Microsoft is making a big push into AI, and so this is going to be a hot topic. There's going to be a lot of questions that you maybe want to ask around challenges and risks. How are you competing with OpenAI? We know potentially they're partnering with OpenAI, maybe acquiring in the future. What about all the other big tech companies that are also investing in large language models? In proprietary format. So it's kind of like a whole bunch of different areas that you could go down. And it's going to give you those questions to ask. And so I think we didn't copy the mock interview. That would be something you'd want to do because you'll get the feedback from that. But we'll add that to our interview prep sample. And that was step 5. And that's as far as we went in the last video, obviously with less detailed prompts. The last step I want to go through is really how to think about organizing this over multiple different job applications. And so what I would recommend doing is, if you have your own version of this file, is to actually copy this final tab. And so you just click on here and you click duplicate. And what this is going to do is give you a copy. Now, every time we change roles, say this is an AI program manager at Microsoft, this just allows us to track how things are going. So we'd update the entries here. We'd maybe paste some interesting anecdotes at the bottom. But this keeps us organized. We can then actually update it into a broader tracker where we track the day we applied to a role, the day we got interviewed. Just gives us a chance to follow up. Names of recruiters, names of hiring managers, names of people within the organization that we know that we may be able to get a referral from or talk to before we actually go for an interview. So there's actually a lot of different things you could do there. So by the time you finish this process, you have a spreadsheet which is giving you all the answers back to the data that you're providing as you're prepping for the job interview. You have a tracker for every different role that you're applying to, and you have this interview prep. And it would have a separate Google Doc for every prep that you do. And you can kind of go through this. And if I just click print, you can see the level of depth that we can go into. So we just did a very quick run through here, but this is 7 sheets of paper. We print it out, because save it as a PDF. Again, what I would like to do here, if this was me, is I would print this off and actually go through it with a red pen and actually circle things, maybe highlight different areas that are interesting. Use it as prep early on in the process, and then at every stage you can kind of update the process a little bit more. I would also think about going back into the chat, saving that chat and renaming it application for AI program manager at Microsoft. And then as you go through the process, you can actually go in and say, I just spoke to a recruiter who told me they need this role filled in 2 weeks. What does that mean? And you can kind of ask questions, and it's going to already have all the context from all the prep that you've already done. And this is actually any information that you're unclear about, you can actually enter into this, and it's actually going to give you the information back and just help you with the prep process. So you can kind of use it as a career coach as you're going through this process. And so that was it. We have our interview prep. We have our spreadsheet that we're going to use to track everything. We've gone through all 6 steps of the process. Hopefully this is a little bit more detailed walkthrough of how you can use ChatGPT to prep for a job interview in 2025. If you're using this and you're having some success, or if you're not having success and you think there's a way to improve, please leave a comment. Very happy to update this again in a few months' time. I'm always experimenting with this. I think this is really a life-changing tool that's going to help so many people. So I just hope this is helpful for you all. If you like this type of content, I do more of this. Just please subscribe. Please watch some of the other videos that may be of interest to you, and I look forward to hearing from you.